The Yokohama Trophy for Masters, historic sports cars, basically Le Mans sports cars from 1962 to 1974 and various different categories. Let's just see what's out there and see how they get on in these rather difficult conditions. I have to say, again, the track has dried off a little bit. Happily, it's not raining quite as much as it was earlier, and there are some dry bits. There's still quite a lot of hefty cloud overhead. So let's see how the track remains. You can see there are a few little streams running across the track. So aquaplaning is still a little bit of an issue, but I think the main part of the circuit means that they can just find a little bit of grip here and there and slither around and enjoy themselves. Let's hope so. We've got another strong group of drivers and cars to check out, and there you can begin to see some of those cars out there on the circuit now, and headlights are on clearly to make the most of cutting through this rather grim grey weather we have. Number 58 just going through. That's the Sean Lynn Andrew Haddon Loader T70 Mark III. Very, very beautiful car indeed. We've got quite a few of the Loader T70s in this part of qualifying, or in this event. So that's something to look forward to. And we shall see who comes out with the fastest lap times. Earlier on this year, there was a Masters Historic Sports Car race at Brands Hatch in May, and in fact Alex Brundle did win that in a Lola T70. Alex is back out again with Gary Pearson in the T70, and I would imagine they're going to be pretty fast. Both Alex and Gary are very quick competitors, so we'll see how they get on. And there are several others who are potentially going to set the pace during qualifying here. So fun session to end the day, Alistair, as we enjoy some more powerful sports cars here at Silverstone.
Yeah, certainly this race includes some of the all-time favourites for many people who followed long-distance sports car racing for many years. And the Lola T70, the Mark IIIB, which is the closed car we've seen go through the picture there. The car number 42, the red car, that's my favourite car of all time, actually. That's the Chevron B8. Another car from the Derek Bennett Chevron stable, but the T70 with the big V8 engine in the back and the wonderful lines drawn by Eric Broadley, who ran Lola for many, many years. And it's just the epitome of a young boy's drawing of a racing car, I think.
Yeah, there are some beautiful cars out there, which is lovely to see, even if it's a bit murky. Yeah, there is the GT40 just coming through. That's always a stunning machine. Number 11, that just coming through as well.
That's the Lenham, which is driven actually by Simon and Dominic Jackson. And Cam Jackson, we spoke about earlier, being the dominant force in Formula Ford at the moment. That's his dad and his brother. Yeah,
good stuff. That is an additional entry, actually, number 11, that Lenham P70, as you say. But there is that beautiful Ford GT40, car number 15 of Michael Birch and Andrew Newell. 4.7 litre engine, in fact from 1965. Doesn't it look gorgeous? Yeah, lovely to see that out on circuit right now. There is the number 11 car you mentioned, the Lenham P70. That's just ahead of the Ford GT40. Everybody just getting a feel for how much grip is out there now on this rather slippery surface, but it isn't quite as wet as it was earlier on. And the first few laps starting to come together, and an initial good outlap for the Christian Pittard, Darren Burke Chevron B8. They've done a 2:27, but we're waiting to see everybody complete their first flying lap. And Julian Thomas and Callum Lockie are back up there again, popping up into third place, back in car 192 again, but this time it's a Chevron B8 in this particular category.
Yes, a new car to Julian Thomas's stable. That quite recently, a couple of years ago, he got that. And if I was adding a car to my stable, it would be a B8.
They are beautiful. Yeah,
they're wonderful cars. Yes, and we might see a Chevron B8 somewhere near the front as well if it's wet for the race. And I've actually watched Martin O'Connell win one of these races outright in the wet at Spa, and you wouldn't think that it would be competitive at Spa with the long straights, but just the wet conditions and Martin's skill. Martin is racing in this race in the Chevron B8, car number 40, Sandy Watson's car, blue with an orange nose. We'll probably get a picture of that there. It's the Chevron B8 number 51. That car, Christian Pittard and Darren Burke, going out into the gloom, and it disappears in a ball of spray as the camera shot pans.
Tom Bradshaw's just gone quicker in one of the other Chevrons, the B19. He's done a good lap, just under a second faster than this number 51 car that we're looking here. That had set the pace. It's now currently second fastest, number 51. Ooh, that was all fairly close to the number 95 Lola T70 of Gary Culver. Really has got some performance, this car, hasn't it?
Absolutely.
And still chasing after that top spot, but it's been pushed back to second.
And there's an example of the car number 51, the Chevron B8, only 2 litres up against the big V8s of the Lola T70s. But not only did it get past them at Beckett's, it kept ahead of them down the Hanger Straight, and it's still ahead of them at Club. Just shows you how a car with good handling, very lightweight, just a 2-litre 4-cylinder engine, is quicker, and he's third quickest overall. Yeah,
Pearson and Brundle have gone fastest now in the number 23 Lola T70, so that is another of the V8 powered cars, as you mentioned, but very impressive from the little Chevron there. And we've got another little group of cars heading down our way on screen right now. Car number 80 shooting around the outside, making up a bit of ground. So that's going well. That's Fletcher in car number 80. So making a bit of progress.
That's Henry Fletcher.
Okay.
In a Chevron B19. That's another one of our late entries. Car number 80, Henry Fletcher, Chevron B19.
Going well. He's up into 6th place.
And 43, Tom Bradshaw. That's another potential outright winner in the wet, even though it's only a 2-litre car. Tom Bradshaw, very, very quick indeed in that car, just sliding up the inside of a Chevron B8.
Yeah, I wondered if the Chevron had seen him there, but very different looking Chevron, isn't it, the B19? Very much a race car looking car, as opposed to the Chevron B8, which looks like a pretty sports car. But that's the way it goes, and quite a few improvements beginning to come through now. You can see people moving up the order, but at the moment it's still the Gary Pearson, Alex Brundle car that is up front by just under half a second, although no, Ollie Bryant's just gone fastest in number 14. This is a Lola T70 that Ollie drives in this particular event. Bradshaw putting together a lap though, isn't he?
He is, and the Chevron B19 has very little aerodynamics. You can see it's very flat, there's no big wing at the back, very, very quick through the air. And the slightly later car, the B26, has a big wing on the back, but that's actually can be slower because on an open circuit like this, downforce not quite so important.
Too much drag created by the wing instead.
Great deal of drag, that's right, yes.
Well, the Pearson Brundle car has come into the pits now, so there's going to be a swap over of drivers, but they're both quick. Both Gary Pearson and Alex Brundle are quick, so we'll see. There could well be a difference. Moving up into 2nd place now is the Christian Pittard Darren Burke Chevron B8. So that's gone well again. We saw them put in a good lap a little bit earlier on. Currently in 6th place, we've got the Robert Beebe Steve Brooks Lola T70. So that's also strong for now. Look, Tom Bradshaw is going well on this lap. He might do enough to move up to 2nd according to the predictor there. He's fastest in the middle sector. As long as he does a good final sector, is he going to get any traffic up ahead of him? Let's have a look. Looking okay. He's got a little B8 just ahead of him there, but it's not quite in his way as long as he's got a good exit here. Cost him a fraction, but he's over the line and he goes 2nd. So that was an improvement.
Yeah, and still a tremendous performance from the Pittard and Burke Chevron B8, which is sitting in 3rd at the moment, behind Ollie Bryant and Tom Bradshaw.
Yeah, Ollie Bryant, that is the number 14 car at the back of this this group, is the fastest car, isn't he? I think he's right at the, yeah, there he is. That's the fastest car so far, the Lola T70. Trying to find a bit of space to get through there. Well, you can see in the spray, it's so difficult to see to find a bit of clear space, but he's managed to do so. And Ollie Bryant, very competitive driver. His father been racing for many years as well.
Yeah.
The two of them racing historics together, and they've got a good collection too, haven't they?
They do, and Ollie's done quite a bit of modern racing as well. He was in the British GT Championship a few years ago. He's also done Le Mans quite a few times, so he's a very experienced driver and a really nice person as well.
Yeah.
So it's great.
I met him many years ago. I haven't seen him for a long time, but yeah, always very impressed with his style, both on and off track. Lovely guy.
Absolutely, yeah. Just bumped into him this morning actually as we came into the commentary box, and just walking around, enjoying the scenery.
Good.
And the rain.
Yeah, and the rain. Yes, it's been a bit too much rain for us today, but we've been quite lucky that we've been covered up in our commentary box. But for those of you who've been watching on the sidelines, I know it's been a bit damp, but I do hope you've been managing to enjoy it, and they can look forward to some more great action. Look at this Chevron B8 going for it again. It's really fun to watch. Third quickest at the moment. Is there a little bit more pace on this lap? No. Stays third, but really pushing on, and if you get a clear lap in, I think they've got a chance of perhaps moving up a bit further. Gary Culver's gone well in his Lola T70. He's currently 5th fastest, and 6th fastest right now, the number 58 car of Sean Lynn and Andrew Haddon, another of the Lola T70s. We've got quite a bunch of them up there right now. So Ollie Bryant fastest for now. We've just seen another little Callum Lockie car, or the Julian Thomas Callum Lockie car has just improved a little bit. It's gone 6th quickest on that last lap. Further down the order, let's just see in some of the other classes. In the Pescarolo class, for example, you have to go all the way down to 27th place to see who's leading in the Pescarolo class, and that is number 74, Mark and James Bates in that Porsche 911. Funnily enough, they were talking to Ed just before we got into this session, and they were hoping to perform well. Well, right now they are leading that class, so that's working quite well for them. There are actually not many entries in that class, I don't think, on this occasion. But here we are watching number 23. Here, this is Gary Pearson and Alex Brundle. Not sure which is in the car right now, but we've seen they've already done a good lap. They've been into the pits, there's been a changeover, and whoever it is now, oh, we've got Bryant on a good lap. Yeah, Bryant does a better lap from Bryant. 2nd, not quite enough to beat Bradshaw. The gap, though, only 0.186 of a second. So it's very, very close between Bradshaw and Bryant. And I'm wondering whether we're going to see the number 23 car here also play a part in that in a moment or two. We'll wait and see. The first sector on this lap actually not... Well, actually, I'm not sure we've seen that yet. Has he come through? No, yes, a good first sector. It was just coming up now. So that is a good first sector. That is Alex in the car. You can tell from the crash helmet. Even I can tell that.
Oh, it's lovely to get that shot, wasn't it? Right into the cockpit of the car. See the driver working away.
It's nice he uses a version of his father's crash helmet design. So it makes it very recognisable that it's Alex Brundle in the car. So yeah, he's going well. And that first sector is the fastest that we've seen from anybody so far. They're currently in 4th place after what Gary Pearson did, but it looks like Alex may be able to find just a little bit more. Let's watch his style. Pretty smooth through Copse Corner. You don't see the back end of the car. Oh, we got a red flag. Okay, must be a car off somewhere, I presume, because the weather conditions are not that bad as we have seen today. So sadly, I guess there must have been an accident or a car in a gravel trap somewhere to cause a red flag, or maybe just a car stopped in a dangerous place. I don't know which. Hopefully we'll find out soon. So for the moment, Tom Bradshaw is fastest ahead of Ollie Bryant. The gap between them just 0.186 of a second. Number 31 there, the Rory and Patrick Jack Lola T70. Looks as though they're just getting that ready to come back out. Looks very immaculately prepared, doesn't it? And it's due to head down to the end of the pit lane, but we do have a red flag, so they won't be going out just yet. There's one of the chevrons, and there the number 14 car that has set the 2nd fastest time so far, and is definitely still in the fight, I think, for a potential pole position. But we have a red flag, the session has been stopped, and there will still be 14 minutes left in this session when it restarts. So I wonder what has caused this. I haven't been able to find out just yet. I haven't seen anything particularly. Have you, Alison?
No, I've just been looking around where we can see visually, but I can't see anything at all at this end of the circuit. As Ollie Bryant comes into the pits. One car I was watching for, but I think only had just gone out after coming in to change drivers, was the Sandy Watson Martin O'Connell car, as we've got a recovery truck just heading off in the direction.
Oh, look, here we go.
Ah, right.
Number 18 is off. That's the marked by Neil Glover car, the C70. I can't see any damage on the car, but clearly it doesn't want to run. Brooklands apparently. So, okay. Yeah, it hasn't quite worked out. He's ended up on the outside there. Let's just try and work out exactly. A bit hard to see. Hard to see exactly where he is. And the rest of the cars coming back into the pits under the red flag conditions, having to come back in, but it's a chance for them to regroup a little bit and decide how to push on for the next stage. There's Tom Bradshaw, fastest so far.
Probably watching a timing screen or something there. He's looking at a tablet, isn't he?
Yeah, might be a bit of data.
Yeah, a bit of data, perhaps sector times to see where he might be able to improve.
Okay, so the session is getting underway. We've got 14.5 minutes to go. At the moment, it is Tom Bradshaw who is fastest in car number 43, but is he going to hang on in there? Well, let's see. They're all heading out onto the circuit now, and the track not too different. We've still got a little bit of rain around, but not too bad. There's I can see just in the stand that the grandstand next to us, which does not have a roof. Some of them do have roofs. This one does not, and yet there's a couple of people with a youngster sitting on the lap, just pointing at cars as they come out of the pits. Lovely to see. That's what we're all about here at the Classic. It's about family fun, enjoying cars, enjoying the action, and yeah, really, really nice to see, despite the rather poor weather conditions that we have got. So we've got cars on circuit, and there is the number 23, the Gary Pearson Alex Brundle car, which is currently fourth, but it was on a quick lap before that red flag came out. I think he got out reasonably early. You don't want to be caught up in the traffic too much. He's trying to get it into a bit of clear space here. Of course, this lap doesn't matter. This lap is just your out lap. You are being timed, but it won't effectively improve your lap time. You want to get a good clear lap once you go over the start-finish line. That's when you want to really go for it. And of course, it's a long lap around here at Silverstone. You need to make sure they get into the right space, and then they can go for it.
It's important to make a bit of space out there with the spray and other cars around you, as we've said earlier today. With so many cars on track, we've got 37 cars out there, and you can see from that camera shot that there's very little visibility once you're in the pack of cars. So it's so important to get out and get a bit of space. And the car 23, that's the Gary Pearson Alex Brundle car, and we think Alex Brundle is still in that car because he was before the red flag, I think.
Good point, yeah.
Was just trying to warm the tyres up a little there, just weaving from side to side, just to get a bit more heat into the tread of these wet tyres that they're using. There's the fastest car that we've seen out there in this session. That's the maroon number 43 of Tom Bradshaw, who we saw looking at his tablet when they were in the pits, just checking times, looking at where perhaps his sector times might be able to be improved. And in the background I can see Ollie Bryant, number 14, who is second quickest. So the two fastest cars are running very close together on track as they go up through past us and then up towards the tight right-hander at Village. Tom Bradshaw on the brakes now.
Yeah, and this is the first sector of the lap. Goes in quite wide on purpose, probably, to try and get a bit more grip, stay off the normal dry racing line. He's doing the same as he comes through the final part of that section, and yeah, again, staying quite wide at the apex. That's all about trying to find the extra grip off the normal standard racing line. You can see in the background the Lola slithering a little bit, so this is going to be interesting as they come through, and that's a personal best in the first sector. 44.1. Bryant's done a 44.6, but a 43.9 for Alex Brundle. so that's slightly quicker. Although that doesn't come up as a personal best, because I think he'd done a better lap than that, or a better sector than that, before the red flag came out. But nonetheless, you're looking at some potentially quick machines. There's Ollie Bryant, number 14, currently second fastest, chasing after Tom Bradshaw, currently fastest. So these guys are getting a good idea of who's got pace and where it is. Some areas, of course, the powerful Lola T70 that you're looking at is going to be fast, but through some of the corners, that delightful sort of maroon machine that's fastest at the moment is going to have tremendous pace.
And still running quite close together through the Beckett sweeps, the fabulous section. Tom Bradshaw deciding to take a much tighter, wider line, like you've described, to try and find the grip. But Ollie Bryant staying much tighter, but not right on the apex. Now they're on the hanger straight and kicking up the spray as they come down onto the brakes for Stowe Corner.
So looking at the sector time, they're very close. Actually, it's Bryant with the slightly better sector time at the moment. He was slower in the first sector, but he's quicker in the second sector. And at the same time, Alex Brundle has done a very good middle sector, almost exactly the same. So hardly anything between these three as they battle away for provisional pole, trying to get a clean exit. There was a bit of a slide over the curve. Brundle goes quickest. Alex Brundle's gone quickest. What about Bradshaw and Bryant? They stay second and third for the moment. So that's a 1:21.7 from Bradshaw, half a second down on what Brundle has just done. Ollie Bryant is a further 0.2 of a second slower. Very, very close between all of them.
And very interesting there that Tom Bradshaw just made that very small mistake at club right at the end. And another car stopped, another T70.
Yeah, the T70s are not having much fun, are they? This is the Robert BB Steve Brooks car, number 59. Currently a bit further down the order, but not too bad. He's in 6th place, so it's a bit disappointing for them. Here we go, here we are, back with this battle. Really deep into Brooklands, really deep, right round the edge of the track there. And Ollie Bryant not going quite so deep with the Lola, but still staying off the normal apex line. And watch the power delivery. Is it smooth? Is it controlled? Looking good. Yeah, stays off the curb, just runs it out to the white line, but stay off those slippery curbs in the wet. Otherwise you get a lot of wheel spin, and that costs you time, if not also potentially chucking you into a spin. Fastest first sector for Alex Brundle again. 43.5, that's 0.2 quicker than Bryant, but it's half a second quicker than Bradshaw in sector 1. Fun to see this, because the conditions are not easy, and yet the time comparisons between these three cars that are fighting up front are remarkably close. See how it all goes. A little bit of a move up the order there for the number 58 car of Sean Lynn and Andrew Haddon. Another of the Lola T70s.
Alex Brundle's on another good lap, isn't he? Purple sectors so far. Tremendous drive from Alex in these conditions. Now we're seeing him. Yeah. 23 car, and he's coming right towards the end of the lap, turning left on the faster run through the club corner.
That was lovely through there. Carried the speed through that faster layout than they use in Formula 1, and a little wobble, but that was great lap. He's done a 2-minute 19.2. That's put him 2.5 seconds ahead now, although Bradshaw now goes better than he had done, so the gap's come down to 1.2. But that was a really beautiful lap, I think, from Alex Brundle. Just watching the end of it there, beautifully controlled, on the limit, but not overstepping the limit. Deep into the right-hander as well. You can see how he really runs the car wide. All of these guys running these wide lines in the wet.
Yeah, just trying to find that little bit of extra grip where the cars normally don't run, so the tarmac is slightly rougher perhaps than where it's run over constantly, as maybe Simon Hadfield now aboard the number 81 Chris Bayton Lola T70. Simon Hadfield, well known for being extremely quick in anything he sits in, so he's popped that car up into 7th.
The number 51 car still in 4th place that you're looking at. We've been watching that earlier on. It's not as powerful in a straight line, but it's been showing great performance through the corners. This lap a little slower though. It may be that they've swapped drivers during that last period, so maybe not going to be challenging quite so much on this second run. Yep, a rather slower lap there. But they will remain in 4th place for the moment, unless somebody else can beat the time that was set in the first part. Julian Thomas, Callum Lockie down in 10th position currently. The Jacksons down in 19th place, Simon and Dominic in their LLMP 70. Let's see, any improvements coming up. A little bit, there was an improvement on that last lap in the number 32 car for Charles Allison and Peter Thompson, another Chevron B8. You're looking there at Till Bechtolsheimer and John Heinhoff are sharing that car. As we look at Simon and Dominic Jackson's number 11 machine. Got a little gaggle coming down the line. 55 there. David Forsberry in the Chevron B8. And there in the background, number 95. And that is Gary Culver in another of the Lola T70s. Beautiful layout, isn't it? Very striking livery. 5th fastest so far.
Extremely purposeful looking car, isn't it? It's and it goes well.
Yeah, that's going very well indeed at the moment. But can he challenge that battle up front? On this lap, by the way, this last lap, slightly slower from Alex Brundle. He did a 2:19. Before that, just done a 2:20. Ollie Bryant's just done a slightly better lap, but again, he's 28 thousandths of a second off Tom Bradshaw. But they've been so close in terms of lap time over these last few. Another improvement for Simon Hadfield there. He's brought the car up to 5th place on that last lap.
So we've got, out of the top 5, we've got, or top 6, we've got 2 smaller engine cars and 4 bigger ones. So it's interesting how the conditions are slightly evening out as we get an improvement to 8th for the Nick Pink car, number 47. Tom Bradshaw off onto the curb.
That's a shame, because he'd just done a really good first sector. He'd done a perfect, well, at best of anybody, purple first sector. But that shows how hard he's trying, because he's really driving well. But you know, that's fair enough in qualifying. You've got to push yourself to the absolute limit, and you will make the odd mistakes, especially when conditions are like this. But he's trying to gain just a few tenths of a second. He had gained a little bit on sector 1, but he's now lost it in sector 2. Thankfully, the car is still okay. He's still running, and he can get it back together. He's got time to get back to the line and get at least one more flying lap in. He might not get 2. I think the checker flag will be out before he gets around the second time. He just needs to get himself in a bit of clear space now, learn from what happened on that lap, and then go for it one more time.
And you can see he's got some tape at the front of the car there, and also some of the other cars are running the little bits of tape there just to reduce the amount of cooling that's going over perhaps the brakes, or it could be even the engine as well, in these cooler conditions, to keep the temperatures up to the level they need to be.
Yeah, tank tape always useful for changing the cooling level of a car. We're watching the number 23 car that's been strong throughout. This is the Gary Pearson Alex Brundle car, which is fastest of all. We think Alex is in the car at the moment. Yeah, so Bradshaw's just completed to that last lap. It wasn't so good in the end, but he's now going on to a lap, and this is really, we're getting down to the really key point in qualifying now to see who's going to end up on top. It looks as though it's going to be Alex Brundle. His advantage usefully just over a second. Question of whether there's a bit more time to be found now. First sector, let's just see what his first sector looks like. That's a fraction slower, but that's still competitive. Look, it's actually 0. It's the same as what we've seen before. So actually that is competitive, that first sector. And if he can just gain a little bit on the rest of the lap, there is still a chance to further improve their pole position. That was nice. Again, very accurate.
Very, yes, just kissing the white line, but not enough to unsettle the car.
Down towards Copse Corner, fast, but you've got to do a bit of braking on the way in, ease it in, and then back on the throttle. Again, he runs it out beautifully, but the car stays pointing in a straight line. Flat out now, using all that V8 power to rush him down to the fast sequence at Maggots and Beckett's. trying to keep the rhythm through here, the flow, that's what it's all about through this section. Easing it one way, then the other, trying to find the grip, not necessarily using the normal line, as you can see. Car ahead, but not in his way. That has not slowed him down. Second checkpoint coming up. Let's see how this is going. It's not quite there, not quite there, not far off. Only at what, less than a tenth, 0.081 off. So a good final sector, and he can improve that pole position. In the meantime, Ollie Bryant's done another really good first sector, but he's not as quick in sector 2. Good sector 2, yeah, reasonable for Bradshaw, but I don't think he's going to be quick enough to beat Alex here. Only a bit of a slide out of the last corner. Well, almost the same lap time as he'd already done. That's still quicker than anybody else has done. He's done 2 laps now in the 2-minute 19s, and I don't think Bryant could quite do that, but he's gone second, 20.194. So can Bradshaw come back at him? No, he's gone over the line already, hasn't he? I think. So at the moment it is Brundle, Bryant, Bradshaw. All the Bs up front.
Interesting that Bryant put the best first sector in on that last lap, and Bradshaw put the best last sector in of anybody, yet neither of them could beat Brundle's overall best time.
Well, that's the thing, isn't it? It's getting at every sector together, and you know, it's so easy to get one of them wrong. And that middle sector that Brundle did there, very, very impressive. Even if it wasn't the outright fastest, it was very impressive. So, good stuff from all 3 drivers. And we've got a gap of, what, 1.2 seconds between the top 3. Then a little bit more of a gap back, I have to say, to the next group, which is now being led by Simon Hadfield, who's just seen the checkered flag. He's one of the first cars to see the checkered flag, and it's the last checkered flag of the qualifying day here at the Classic at Silverstone. As this session is drawing to an end, there will be the odd improvement, no doubt. Just watch out to see if there are any moves up the order, but I think our top 3 are unlikely to change. Good first sector, I have to say, from Bradshaw, so let's not count him out completely. There we are, there's our fastest car so far. But actually on this lap, Bradshaw has done a slightly better first sector, but I don't think he's going to have the pace around the rest of the lap to really steal that top spot. It's looking good for Gary Pearson and Alex Brundle, isn't it?
It is indeed, and they're still out there as well, although Alex's time's not as good as he's done before. There's Bradshaw at the top of the screen now. You can see coming out of Chapel Curve onto the Hanger Straight. Nice clear track in front of him. Probably won't catch the Chevron V8 before the end of the lap.
No, it's a slow mid-sector, I'm afraid.
Oh, is it?
Yeah, whether he got held up or something went wrong, but that is not going to change anything, I'm afraid. Alex Brundle, I think, has nailed that pole position for this race, and we could be on for a good battle, depending on how the start goes. But it's looking very strong. Into the pits has come Ollie Bryant in the number 14 car. He's going to be on the front row of the grid alongside the Pearson Brundle car. We'll see who starts. So we've got the 2 Lolas on that front row of the grid, and then right behind them we're going to see Tom Bradshaw in the Chevron B19. Very nimble little machine. Simon Hadfield will also be starting on the second row, but that car a little bit slower, I have to say. Their Lola 270, a little bit slower. Last few cars still completing their laps. We're looking at that rather lovely Porsche that we were seeing in the paddock earlier of Mark and James Bates. And they run in the Pescarolo class. In fact, there aren't many people running in the Pescarolo class, so I think they're going to be top of that class. And of course, it is a slightly different machine. So there we go then. Good, dramatic, fun way to finish the qualifying here today. Thankfully, although it was wet, it wasn't quite as teeming down with rain as it has been at some stages throughout the qualifying today. Bit grey, have to say, but well done to Alex Brundle, who has taken pole position for himself and Gary Pearson.